Hi everyone, so I am back and it was amazing yesterday. I had so much fun stitching, even if like the whole video and so on was a complete disaster, but I managed to stitch over altogether for the whole day over 1200 stitches. So I am now at 8,245 stitches left, and I am at 61.76%. And I don't know if you noticed, we already have a cat underneath the stitching, so she's going to join. But before that, I'm just going to insert here a picture of what the current progress looks like. So just let me move that here. Hello. So this is a cat. Yes, Peppa, of course, is joining us. Oh my god, she's doing so many things. Monster, come here. So let's see how we are going to do today. Basically, I hope that it's going to be okay, but I just fed the cats, and usually when the cats get food, they have lots of energy and they just start flying. So I do hope that today we are not going to have too many accidents, nothing is going to be falling down and so on. So let's see. So as you can see, yesterday I was working a bit. Okay, I'll just let me grab my tablet and I will just show you what was happening yesterday, because I was a bit extra all over the place. Sorry for the glare. So I was hoping that I would be working more on this corner, this triangle. However, actually I did instead of going like that, I went a bit down and I started filling in this part. So at the moment I am somewhere here. So we are super close to getting to the right top corner of the pattern, so it's very exciting. However, today I decided that I would like to work more on the house, so maybe today I will finish the house. We shall see. So fingers crossed. I have to tell you that I was super motivated to work on that. And today is Monday, the 23rd of February. So I really couldn't wait for the end of my workday and just being able to sit and stitch. But you know what? I think that I'm going to be a bit tricky today, because as you can see, there is a cat that is doing strange stuff. This is my amazing bag from Frosted Jess. I need to have everything in my bag. Cannot have anything outside because Peppa is going to be just... Yeah, you hear the background sounds. Peppa is just like super interested in all the threads and so on. So I think that today I'm just going to work in hand, because I think I have a quite good setup here, and recently it was difficult for me to use the stand because I don't know if I just would need to adjust it in any way, but I have a tendency to slouch even more when I have a stand. So I would need probably to have a designated chair that has like a perfect height and so on. So yeah, but this is still work in progress, my stitchy spot and so on. We're getting there. At the moment there is lots of colors being introduced. I need colors recently, and it's just like there is very much working on all kinds of dopamine decor and so on. So as you can see here, my Sophie's Universe is in use. I have some fluffy pink pillows. I have a pink blanket that you could see yesterday. And yeah, and now all the coziness with my stitching and so on. So yeah, let's see how's that going to go. So let me just quickly uncle my thread. And we're going to go. So today is Monday. I had a pretty good day yesterday because lots of stitching, as I said, and it really gave me this kind of like fantastic feeling of accomplishments. In the evening we watched The Roses with Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch. It was good, but of course I knew the story, so I also knew how's that going to end. Not necessarily the love story that you would like to be in general. So I was just like thinking, I started wondering, did I ever tell you about my love story? Not sure about that. I know that I was mentioning my boyfriend a few times and so on, so this is still like a very sweet story, I think. So even if you heard it before, now maybe there are just like some details. So it's been 5 years at the moment, and we actually met. So before the meeting, he was, and it's going to sound super funky, he was my homework. And I know that it sounds super strange, but yes, he was my homework. And why he was my homework? So at that time, I had some German lessons with my friend who had like crazy ideas. And it was February 2021, and she told me, you know what, as your homework, since we are approaching Valentine's Day, you need to do something romantic in German. Imagine my face, because using romantic and German in one sentence, it wasn't something that I would somehow combine. But oh well, the teacher told me to do that, so I need to do that. And I was just like wondering what to do. So I lived in like a small town then, so there was, and we were still very much in another phase of a lockdown. We had curfews and so on, so there wasn't too much to do in general. So I was just like, okay, what can I do? First thought, I'm going to go on Tinder and see what Tinder can offer. But then it's just like, okay, I not necessarily had like the best romantic experience with Tinder. If you ever did online dating, you know what I'm talking about. So it's just like, no. But I had never before tried Bumble. So it's just like, okay, I'm going to check what Bumble has to offer. So I started my profile and so on, and I saw this guy there, and it was just like, you know, a nice guy, but pictures with his bike, it's just like not active one. No, we're not doing that. But then there was one picture where his eyes were so prominent. It's just like I looked at this picture and I could basically only see the eyes. So I was just like, okay, let's try it. So I swiped whichever way you need to swipe there, and suddenly it's a match. Okay, good. So it didn't take me a lot of time to send him a message, because if you don't have any experience with like online dating and so on, Bumble is actually the one that lets a woman to send the first message. So even if you have a match, it's a woman who decides if she wants to contact the person. Peppa is just trying to get her face into a paper bag. I use a paper bag for my like paper and cardboard recycling next to my desk, and she loves diving into that because maybe there is going to be some treasure to be found. But I see that nothing was found. Good. So I wrote to him, and it's just like it was a bit strange because my writing, because at that time I came out of a not too long relationship, but very intense and very draining. So basically, it wasn't that I wanted to date. So I wasn't trying to just like, be on my game or whatever. I wrote like a normal message saying hi and so on. He replied pretty quickly, and he was just nice. So, of course, what is happening? Nice guys are all the red flags, because in this world there are no nice guys left. But still, I was just like, okay, let's see. So we started chatting, but it was also so very normal. Nobody tried to impress anyone. Nobody tried to just like, I don't know, haste anything. Nobody tried to send anyone body part pictures and so on. And after, I think it was a week, so we matched on the 14th of February, so exactly on the Valentine's Day. Thank you, cat. Now the cat was just jumping from my bookshelf to my table here, and I have my coffee splashed all over the place, so sorry, let me clean that in a moment and maybe take a sip. So let's see. Okay. Yes, it was your baby. So it was the 14th, Valentine's Day, and after a week I was just like, okay, I think that I am done with this experiment. I kind of did my homework. So I just wrote to him and told him that I'm going to delete my profile. But it was nice chatting to him, and if he would like to move that to WhatsApp. WhatsApp is super popular here in Germany. And he was just like, yeah, okay. I gave him my number, and basically it continued to be normal. It continued to be normal. He was sending me like a good morning message, telling me that he's just like starting work. And he's just like, okay, today I'm going to have a busy day, so I may not be able to like reply very quickly and so on. And that was like something that completely blew my mind. It was a guy who was communicating. He was telling me something, and then he was doing what he told me. So it was just like, okay, I'm going to have a busy day, so I will text you in the evening. And then he did. There was no waiting. There was no thinking, wondering. There were no games. It was just like a normal human contact. And it just shows you how terrible the online dating world is. That was something that made me question a lot of things, because it was just like, oh my god, there is a guy who is attentive. What's wrong with him? It turned out nothing, but this is just how he was. So after a week of just like chatting on WhatsApp, and again, just normal. It wasn't just that we were just like jumping to the phone and so on. This kind of like, this kind of relation that burns very, very bright, but also burns out very quickly. It was normal. And this is the word that I'm going to be using over and over again, because this is exactly what that was. So after like a few days of chatting, I think it was maybe Thursday, I asked him what he was doing on the weekend. And he told me that on Saturday he was working, but on Sunday he might have some time. But he also told me, and this is something that completely got me, because he told me, so my grandma is in the nursing home at the moment, and we are just waiting for the confirmation if the visits are going to be available again, because if they're available, I'm going to go and visit my grandma, so I won't have time then. But if they're still kind of limiting the visits, and the nursing home is closed, COVID again, and then I will have time, but I will know that probably around Saturday, like 100%. So it's just like, yeah, that's okay. And again, what he told me, he did. The moment he got the confirmation that there are still no visits at the nursing home, I was just like, okay, so I won't be visiting my grandma. I will have Sunday free, if that's okay. I can just like visit you. So we decided on the time, and it was the 28th of February. So basically 2 weeks since we matched on Bumble. And I have to tell you that I was a bit nervous, because again, this guy was normal. And I basically did not know what to expect from a normal guy, because I have never before met a normal guy. So when he told me that he was just like on his way, because at that time I lived like an hour away from his place, So when he told me that he was leaving the house, I told him, okay, so the weather is gorgeous, and really it was the 28th of February, so still kind of middle of winter, but it was, I think, in Celsius, I think it was plus 18 degrees, gorgeous sun, and I lived by the lake at the time, so it was just like a perfect time for a walk, for just doing something outside. And he was very surprised because I told him, okay, so the weather is beautiful, so we could go by the lake, and I invited him for ice cream, and that's another story. I invited him for ice cream, and I was just like, okay, so it's beautiful, let's go for a walk. But since it's so gorgeous, all the parking spots and around the lake are going to be taken. So this is my address. You can just like park at the parking lot next to my house. So he was just very surprised, but he arrived, and he was also updating me kind of from the way. He was just like, I'm sorry, I'm going to be a bit late because there is a bit of more traffic than I expected. So that was another like kind of brownie point. And he arrived. I told him to just like come upstairs, so I will have time to just like put on my shoes and so on. And again, he was just like so normal and so nice. Before we met, we were laughing because he was just like, okay, I am not very good at marketing myself, and he was just telling me I am shy, I don't talk a lot, and it's kind of true. But when we met and we went for a walk, then we went for ice cream, it turned out that in my nervous preparation I took a bag without my wallet in, so I invited him, but he needed to pay for the ice cream. So we are still laughing about that. And we were talking all the time. There were no moments of awkward silence, and if we went a bit more quiet, it was comfortable. And it was just like normal. It was really normal. Again, this is kind of like a leitmotif. Normal. The guy didn't try to sell himself in any kind of way. He was telling me about himself, about his family, about his grandma, and you could see how much he loved her. And this is also something that very much just grabbed my heart. And we were just chatting, and it was so calm and so good. And when it started getting a bit colder, I asked him if he would just like, if he would like to come upstairs, just like get something to drink. And at that time, because I lived in a very small flat, I didn't even have like a proper table to sit around. Basically, that was like a 1-bedroom flat where the room / bedroom were connected to the kitchen. So I had my desk and my desk chair there, and a bed. So there wasn't too much to just like sit around. And he said, okay, so just like, yeah, we'll grab something to drink, and I'll just like soon on my way back home because of the curfew and so on. But we were standing in the middle of my room because, of course, he was just like, there was nowhere to sit. as such. He was just like a gentleman enough that he wasn't sitting on my bed and didn't want to sit on the only chair in the whole place. So we were just chatting, standing, and it turned out that we spent like over 3 hours just standing in the middle of my room and talking. Again, just talking, nothing else, and it was absolutely, absolutely amazing. And it was just so nice. And when he was just going home, we hugged. There was absolutely nothing more there. And he went home. We were just mentioning next week, maybe, if that's still possible, or if he's not visiting grandma and so on. And he told me that he's going to text me as soon as he gets home. And again, he did what he promised. He texted me, he sent me a picture of his cats, thanked me again for the day, and we were just chatting. Again, it was just, no intensity in that. It was nice. Jesus, the standards, really. I really had low standards. But I ended up with a really good guy. So then next week, he could come again. Sorry, I think that I feel that, of course, there is my hair somewhere here. So I was feeling that I was pulling on something that wasn't a thread. So the following Sunday, he said that he will be able to come and so on, so amazing. And the weather was supposed to be even better than this week before. So, okay, if that's even better, I wanted to plan something special, something unusual. So I planned a picnic. As I said before, I was living by the lake. Really, it was just like I was leaving my house and I was just like crossing like a tiny pavement and I was at the lake. So I had everything prepared. I asked him about his like food preferences and so on. And he told me what he likes. We were just chatting. He didn't know what I was planning. And I had everything prepared. Saturday, gorgeous weather, beautiful, fantastic. Sunday, he's already on his way. Cold as hell. Raining. Even not snowing, raining. Total crap. So, yeah. The picnic definitely couldn't work, but I prepared everything. So he arrived, I told him what I had planned, and I was just like, okay, the picnic is not going to work as such as I wanted it to work, but it doesn't mean that we cannot have a picnic. So I had my picnic blanket on the floor next to the heater because it was cold as hell, next to the heater, and we're just sitting on the floor, chatting, eating all the snacks and all the food that I prepared. And again, and remember, this is a guy who told me that he's shy, he's not talking too much. He couldn't shut up for 7 hours straight. It was just flowing so well. It was fantastic. So we're just chatting again about everything, and it felt so comfortable. It felt like home. And at around 6, I think, he excused himself for a moment because he wanted to call his grandma, and he was chatting with his grandma for a moment, came back. We were talking again. Sorry, just grabbing my coffee. we're talking again, and it's just like, I really didn't want this evening evening to end. Unfortunately, it had to. And again, we were just getting that kind of to the limit, because he needed to drive for an hour and there was a curfew. So we were basically calculating that to the minute when he needed to leave. And again, we hugged, he left. Let me know when he arrived home, send me pictures of cats, what he was watching or playing at the time when he arrived home, and so on. So again, it was like regular, normal, no bells and whistles. And we already planned straight away that we were going to do something next weekend, but around Tuesday, I think, I started getting sick. And luckily it wasn't corona at the time, but I was really feeling like crap. So he was just like checking, it's just, do you need anything? Do you have like food? Do you have everything that you need? And so on. I was just telling, that I was lucky because I did all the shopping just before. So I had everything, but I wasn't sure how's that going to work with the weekend, if I'm going to get better and so on. I was just like, do not worry about that. The most important thing is that you are getting better. But I think it was actually on Wednesday evening. He texted me and he was, you know what, I feel sorry about you, that you are just sick and so on. I have Thursday off. Would you be okay if I come to you like early afternoon and I will cook for you? Guys, this guy just, okay, it was impossible. I was just like, if you are not worried that you are going to catch something from me, I would be very happy to see you. He arrived, brought all the stuff for pizza, made me pizza. We ate, we chatted, it was a third date, so he was kind of third date, so he was brave enough to sit on my bed even, but still, everything very, very, very PG and so on, even more than PG. So when he was leaving, it was even more difficult to kind of let him go. And again, we made plans for the weekend, and I was just like sitting there, and I was just, okay, this guy just drove an hour to cook for me, knowing that I am sick. I really didn't look good then. And he seemed to not care. He was super nice. He was keeping his promises. It's just like I wasn't used to that. But I really didn't know if the guy even liked me. Because it was the kind of third date and he didn't try to kiss me. He didn't try to do anything. And he was still just nice, simply nice. So it was just like, what is wrong in here? Of course, that was my brain and everything that was happening. But our fourth date, I finally was just like, okay, I cannot, I am not waiting. And I kissed him. He didn't protest. It was super sweet. It was like it was one of these kisses that no matter what happens, you remember for your whole life. How you felt, how everything around you was, and it just felt good. And still, it's just, we were both kind of, what the heck is actually happening? Because it was totally new for both of us. I never felt so taken care of. I never felt so adored, but without the bling that the world seems to be expecting at the moment. And it was a few days later. He was visiting me again, and I don't remember what that was, but I stayed at home. He left for a moment. If he wanted to jump to the shop for something, or I don't know. But he came back and he brought me like a few of these teeny tiny like wild daisies. And that was basically the day that we decided is going to be the official beginning of everything, and the day of our anniversary. So the first day of spring, and the first day of everything else. And I have to tell you, that homework was the best thing that ever happened in my life, because nothing changed. He's still the sweetest guy that I know. He still feels like home. And there are so many things that he helped me with. He helped me to learn about myself, to heal. Maybe you will hear that story as well. But yeah, he's my home, he's my house of hearts. That's why I'm just like stitching that, and I would like to have it finished. And I definitely found my place. And my place is not a location. He's my place. It's been 5 years, and I wouldn't change a single day of these 5 years. And I do hope that every day of next 45 years at least is going to be like that, because I could never imagine anything better. Yeah, so now just waiting for him to come back home. A bit earlier today because he's not at regular work. He has the first aid course, so should be back home soon. And it's just like talking about him. I love talking about him because it's just like he's my unicorn. He's definitely my unicorn, and I think that in my previous lives I did something good to be able to now spend my life with this guy. Yeah, so this is a kind of love story that inspired me for this month project. And thank you for being here with me and listening to all of that. And I think that I will definitely come back tomorrow because it feels good to just be sitting talking to you and just stitching. So let me tell you how much we did together, and I will just continue. So now we did 114 stitches, which brings me now to 8,131 stitches left, and I am now at 62.29%, so we are slowly getting there. So thank you so much for your time. Let me know if you worked on anything and how much you managed to stitch, and if you have a love story to share, let me know. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with me, and until tomorrow. Bye bye.